And good morning, people. Welcome back to the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Monday Night Community Race. My name's Poydrak. I'm one of your commentators with SmapeD as my co-commentator today. We have Invenerable on the restream, and we have Daphus on our tracking today. Today, we're going to take you back to a time when the objective system wasn't in place. There was no fancy dark matter hunts, there was no fancy custom objectives or random objectives. And wait, SmapeD, was this really less than a year ago?
It's hard to believe, but yes, way back in the distant past of early 2019, this is actually how we used to play Free Enterprise. There was only one real way to play it, and if you didn't like it, you did giant percent. And if you didn't like that, well, tough.
Wow, how far we've come in less than a year. But then again, that's a credit to our amazing workshop and our head engineers who have been working around the clock on this randomizer. So yeah, kudos to them, but let's take it back a bit and well, even though we're still using the beta system, so there are going to be the beta changes to items and a few of the cosmetic changes, we're going to take you back to how things were simpler. There's no objectives today. You're going to find the crystal, and that's it. Key items are in their main locations. Summon monster bosses, and the moon passes a key item. Characters are standard. Edge and Fu are going to be gated behind key items. There's going to be no duplicates. You can't go and get them back from the Tower of Wishes. Treasures are going to be fairly subpar in chests and in shops. Bosses are just going to be normal. Well, you're not going to see a whole lot of real out-of-the-world changes, and that makes for a very intriguing race. How much do they remember from before it was changed?
Right, you are. It's going to be a very I don't want to use the word standard because that has some weight to it, but it's going to be a very straightforward. This is just going to be a test of your knowledge of Free Enterprise, your ability to race around that. We've got Kane and the Magma Key, so already that is an enormous amount of the world open to our racers as the underworld available right from the get-go.
Yeah, and it presents the problem of, do they want to go to the underworld straight away, or do they want to clear the things out on the overworld? Personally, I would say let's clear a few of the treasures on the overworld and some of these spots. But then again, the treasures in the underworld, considering the way the beta handles treasures, are slightly better in quality.
Yeah, we do have that pro set on for treasure. That's also on for the shops as well. That means that the locations that are more difficult to get to, those in the underground, places like that, are going to have a better value of the treasure that they have than otherwise. And Moonblaze Wolf taking advantage of that immediately, not messing around anywhere in the underworld. He wants to go directly underground, take advantage of that pro item spread.
Yeah, it gives a nice balance of how much do they remember from the old stuff, but also how much do they know of the new way the game is played, in the way the treasures are different, in the way the flags are slightly swapped up a little bit.
Yeah, we've got some relatively standard starts here from Dr. Cossack and Kinda Nerdy Housewife. Looting Baron to get some seed money and some seed items there. Meanwhile, Rex Rawl is going to be following in Moonblaze Wolf's stead and going directly underground. Quick check at the shop at Agart there, and nothing really of value. And it looks like Damsian checks from both of our topmost runners here.
Yeah, the one thing that never changes between in the game, the versions of the game though, are NPCs, and Moonblaze Wolf showed it perfectly there when he got trapped behind two of them.
Yeah, sometimes the most difficult enemies in this game aren't the ones that show up in random encounters, they're the ones that show up on the overworld.
So, And Moonblaze is going straight in, finding the warrior chest. Is likely going to reset out of that, but knows where it is, and is going to pick up a lot of good treasure in that Land of Summon Monsters area.
Yeah, that is an excellent location for that warrior's chest to be. That means he can go right back in, knows exactly where it is. It's right there at the beginning. He can loot every other chest in here, which of course is going to be weighted very highly. He's going to be able to loot the entirety of the Fae March. He might get some really strong items going on here, especially if he gets a good weapon for Kane. He'll be in a very, very strong position.
Yeah, I believe this, because of the danger that is present in this particular location, it is, I believe, you can get anything up to a tier 6 item at a very low rate. So it could have a Dragoon Spear or a Gungnir here for that Kane. And he's already picked up a Siren from there, so that's a fairly good find just in that, because Sirens are very hard to come by.
Yeah, gone are the days of just easy and consistent access to Sirens that the meta sort of formed around, where you would know that you would have those Sirens available whenever you needed to do your grind. Now every Siren you find is a huge potential influx of XP if you use it the right place. And Moonblaze Wolf finding the Baron key here in the free Fae March chest, so that opens some additional options back in the overworld. Rexroll, right on his tail, is going to be picking that up as well here in just a moment.
Yeah, the slight difference with Rexroll is that he didn't loot out the Land of Summon Monsters as explorable area. He's only doing the town, which gives Moonblaze a little bit of a one-up on it. But as for kind of Nerdy Housewife and Dr. Cossack, both are in Antline at the moment. Kind of Nerdy Housewife did find Wyvern up on top of Hobbs, so yes, it unfortunately not going to get that character anytime soon, but at least you've pulled out one of the big bosses that could be blocking later.
Yeah, it's always kind of a relief when you find a big baddie like Wyvern in a spot where it's not going to be interrupting your progress an enormous amount. Mega Sisters may be a little bit of a tricky fight here when you don't really have much in the way of damage, but no, actually Kane, or Sane I should say, actually is able to one-shot Cindy there, decent enough damage. It shouldn't have too much trouble in this fight.
Yeah, Dr. Cossack has found a couple of mute daggers, and being with the Mega Sisters being mage type enemies, that gives quad damage to that. So even the fairly weak Kane at the moment, and only being his base level, can cut through them fairly easily.
I will say that as a Fire Emblem fan, I appreciate not only that the Green Kane is named Sane, but that Moonblaze Wolf has apparently named his entire squad after Fire Emblem Three Houses characters. One of my personal picks for Game of the Year, so very happy tonight.
Yeah. Personally, I've never played the Fire Emblem games, so I wouldn't know what you're talking about, but at least we know someone who's appreciating the references that are being brought out today.
We're getting a Fabul check here from Dr. Cossack, it would appear. Very standard play here. Antlion and Fabul, very early bosses with low HP totals that can be checked fairly easy. Oh, a Gaia Drum from Rex Raoul in the Dwarf Basement. That can be very, very useful on some for some early damage on some of those bosses where the HP total is split amongst multiple enemies.
Yeah, and you're not wanting to stay down in the underworld to fight enemies here. You're mostly wanting to go back up to get those early experience. So that Gaia Drum, any other attack items they find are going to be useful. Kind of Nerdy Housewife is looking to have a little bit of trouble with the Mega Sisters, has lost Rydia, but Kane, with 2 HP left, is getting the deed done. Very,
very clutch fight there. Proving the old adage that you only need 1 hit point.
Yeah. Gets a ribbon in the fight for their trouble, so good bit of equipment, but no real progression. But then again, this early on, you don't really mind too much. You've got a whole lot waiting for you.
Mylon Z shouldn't be a terribly tough fight here. Only does physical attacks and really not doing much to that Kane there. Rydia might be in for a little bit of hurt if she were to take an attack or two, but with the damage Kane is putting out this fight, shouldn't last more than about 4 turns or so.
Yeah, another thing that was found in that Antlion Cave or Dampion was a flame spear, and Mylon Z is weak to fire, so the found the items that were necessary to actually get that Kane moving on these first few fights.
Yeah, and considering that we haven't found anything overwhelmingly game-breaking so far in the Underworld, actually some of the treasures between that Flame Lance and that Mute Dagger almost seem to be better on the Overworld, at least specifically for these fights that they've run into in the Overworld. So that's really nice that they've got them, though. We do have the Twin Harp in Fabul, so we'll see if maybe we have some music checks here from our runners.
Yeah, probably not straight away, but it will be at the back of their mind. Meanwhile, Retrial is actually going to Hobbs, one of the newer flags that has been added, and is likely going to be picking up a summon for Rydia. Kinda Nerdy Housewife is heading down, and that looks like, yep, that is Jin or Ifrit, or however you want to put it in this particular game.
Yeah, sort of a mid-ish tier fire elemental, but most importantly, hits all enemies without damage reduction. Probably won't get too much play outside of like the early parts of the game, but can definitely help in some fights that early on where some extra damage is needed, especially if they're multi-enemy fights. Rex Rule running into that Wyvern, though, taking that Mega Nuke. He decided to go all the way through Hobbs, so if he wants to pick a Jin spell back up, he's going to have to sit through that cutscene one more time.
Yeah, yes, he did save that. That's good. When in doubt, save. But yeah,
it seems like such basic advice, but it is a well-placed save can literally save you a lot of time. Definitely something to keep in mind here. Yeah,
one of my personal ones recently was doing all ordeals, going up to Fabul, finding Valvalis, not being able to beat her, and realizing my particular last save was before I did Fabul.
Oof. Yeah, you hate to see that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it should be a staple of randomizers, but if you're going to do these, save often because you don't know what's around the corner. Moonblaze is just about to find their Wyvern, and let's see if... Nope, didn't even see the Wyvern. Just reset before the fight happened.
Moonblaze saw a lunar fight, saw a Tella, and decided, I'm good. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. But then again, doesn't have that information that it was Wyvern, so might be a bit afraid of some other lunar sparkles that show their faces later.
Yeah, it's always good to grab as much information as you can. You always want to be armed with as much knowledge of a particular seed going into any given situation, just to be able to make those calls a lot more easily. And it seems like a simple thing, but it's exactly as you said. He could be going into a fight. All you can see is the lunar sparkle, hasn't seen Wyvern, and so he's going to be thinking in the back of his mind, well, this could be a Wyvern spot, one of the more dangerous fights that you can see from a lunar sparkle. And with not knowing that Wyvern was all the way back on Hobbs, it might affect his routing, might affect decisions. Small things like that can really add up over the course of a given seed.
Yeah, one of the old adages, information about what something isn't is just as good as what something is.
It's like a game of Clue, and he can't write off that Wyvern was not in the conservatory.
Yeah. Dr. Cossack is heading down into Fae March to pick up, I believe the Baron Key was down there. Kinda Nerdy Housewife has also gone down. And looks like I'm going to guess that the Tower Key on Moonblaze Wolf's side was the item from Sheila 1. So we've got a whole lot of options open to people, but not a whole lot of characters to actually take advantage of them. Everyone's still really with just the 2 starters.
Yeah, it's kind of going to be getting some character power. Seems like it's going to be the struggle in this seed early on. Rydia is a decent enough character, but she takes time to get online. It really, her ultimate usefulness is going to be how long does it take you to get one of those top tier summons, those Leviathans, those Bahamut's. If they never show up, your Rydia and you don't get some of the special gear that can turn Rydia into a decent frontline fighter, then Rydia is going to be a lot of dead weight. We haven't seen any of that yet. The Jin spell is nice, but it's ultimately not going to carry Rydia into the mid and late game as nicely as some of those other options are. Kayn, of course, is a strong physical attacker, but without strong weapons to put in his hands, you're not going to be able to get too much out of that. We've got the Flame Spear and the Mute Dagger, which are sort of good interim items, but you're going to want to see something like you mentioned earlier, one of those Gugnirs, one of those Dragoon Spears, something like that in order to get some power out of them.
Yeah, and character options at this moment in time aren't actually forthcoming, because we've seen Teller on the Mount Hobbs. The character in Baron Inn was Edward, and neither of those are people you really want to put in your team for long-term sources of damage.
Right. Absolutely. Now, we do have that Baron key in play, and one of the rewards for completing that Baron quest is going to be another character. With Tell and Edward out of the picture, there's a lot of really good options for solid character picks that can be waiting there in Baron Castle. Of course, the trick there is to make sure you have a team that's powerful enough to actually complete Baron Castle, because those are 2 spots that aren't exactly pushovers, especially with a team this early and this unprepared.
Yeah, they're going to need something mighty, actually, yeah, just mighty to push them through that. Dragon Whip on Rydia. I've seen a couple of people using. Kayn with fairly decent defense but mediocre attack options is okay, but you'd need some levels.
Absolutely. So now we have the tower. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And that's where that Siren, that Moonblaze Wolf, might actually prove the difference here.
Yeah, flipping an egg down there in the underworld might be a nice XP infusion to get you some of that power that you need. So yeah, whether he decides to pop that early or hold on to it for a potential, say, King Ryu's on the moon or something like that, or something after the 10 key items have been gotten, so he gets the double experience from it. When he chooses to use that, could be a make or break moment.
Indeed, yeah.
Now we do have the tower key from Sheila 1 gear. Poydrak, if you're playing the seed, how do you feel about a cheeky half tower check with that tower key to try to grab something that maybe gives you a little bit of momentum?
I was thinking about it just a little bit ago. The first spot only has less than 1,000 HP, usually around about 500 to 600. So it is an easy spot for a Kayn just to go in and do it, and it's something like 5,000 to 6,000 experience, so it's not bad. It's an option for them.
Yeah, it's definitely an option, and those options are kind of running out a little bit, which is very odd to see when you have a Magna Key start. We've got the tower, we've got that tower key that can be checked. We've got the Twin Harp that can be checked, and then of course there's everybody's most dreaded check this early when you have no incentive to really do it. Mount Ordeals is also on the table as well.
Yeah, and kind of nerdy house might have run into a wall here. Dark Knight here can do a lot of damage.
Yes, Kayn able to survive one hit of that, but the ATBs are going to have to line up very nicely in her favor, be able to get a cure off after each of these dark waves. And
luckily this spot is really slow, so Kayn should be getting those cures off, and does. So this last wave will happen, and then Dark Knight will give you the justice speech and then say bye-bye.
Yeah, very, very nicely done for kind of nerdy housewife there. Getting those potions thrown out, getting Kane to survive. So she is going to get another key item here and add a bard to her ranks.
And I think it's more the key item that she wants. The bard, unfortunately, in this particular flag set, isn't amazing. Package is another character.
It is indeed, and with some of the less desirable characters already rolled out here, there could be something juicy behind that package.
Yeah, there is one duplicate out there of a character, and that could be a duplicate to Edward. It could be a duplicate Teller. There are no dupes particularly that you can recruit in this, but there is one that will be the same and you can't recruit. So hopefully it's not one of those, and it's someone that is going to be fairly powerful for them. Who would you like to see first out of everyone? As a watcher, not as a runner.
Oh gosh, not as a runner. I was gonna say, as a runner, well, I'd like to see something like an edge or something that really, jumpstart your damage output. As a sadistic viewer, though, goodness, we've got. I'd almost like to see Porum, because that would really get us towards our reject percent team comp. we'd be 3 out of 5 of the way there.
I would have liked to see Yang. Unfortunately, it's not that, it's Cecil, so Mount Ordeals is on the table again. Yang doesn't bring a whole lot of power early. Porum, strangely, he does. She has an early source of Berserk, and she's a white mage who can heal. Now, Yang doesn't bring those to you.
Yeah, Yang does one thing and does one thing well, and that is he has a lot of hit points. He's not going to do too much else for you. His damage output is middling to poor, and it really only gets going very, very late in the game when since his damage formula is based largely on his level, it's going to be very, very late that he's actually going to put out somewhat okay numbers, and even those are going to lag behind a lot of your prime melee fighters that have decent equipment. The best thing he's got is that big pool of hit points. He can survive more things than most can. Makes an excellent chemist for that, in that he can throw out items, keep the rest of your team okay. But as a traditional character, yeah, not the best.
Well, he also has the advantage of being able to do a lot of elemental damage. And in this, like with Dr. Lugay in Rex Royale's area, I believe this is the first fight in Mount Ordeals. If you had a Thunderclaw with him, you'd be able to do a fair amount of damage even in the early levels. But yeah, we're sort of going off on a tangent here, and we haven't found Yang, so let's focus on Cecil and what he can do.
And what Cecil can do is not a lot right now.
Exactly.
The big advantage to Cecil is it gives you a lot of incentive to do Mount Ordeals, because Cecil drops his garbage Dark Knight job and becomes the glorious Paladin job. When he does that, he gains access to some of the best equipment in the game. Now, granted, we are playing with the Pro Treasure and Pro Shop itemization, so getting some of those high-tier Holy Swords might be a quest in and of itself. But if nothing else, he can be a somewhat reliable backup healer. He does get up to Tier 2, which can do a little bit of assistance in the healing this early in the game. But it also does give him that cover ability, which is kind of overlooked by a lot of players, but especially when you have someone as frail as Rydia that you have to want to keep alive. Having Cecil cover Rydia can be a really great way to keep her going in fights that rely a lot on that physical damage.
Yeah, and the path to getting that Paladin isn't easy. Dr. Lugay is in the first spot, isn't too bad. D-Loon is in the back attack spot though, this early. Without that Flame Spear by Kane, there might have been a little bit of an issue here.
Yeah, I want to say I did see Star Veils for sale somewhere. Using those, you can do the Lunar Frog strat where you hang on there until you can set up Star Veils on everybody, and then when the D-Lunars try to frog you, it gets reflected, and they instead turn themselves into frogs. It makes them much more manageable. Rex Rule, not having to deal with that kind of strategy, just going to use that Flame Spear and that jump command. Jump allows him to bypass the counter that the D-Lunars would normally have to direct physical attacks, which turns their AI script into reflecting virus attacks onto the party, which are very, very nasty. So, well done there by Rex Rule.
Yeah. For a couple of them, there is the Jinn option as well. Now, the Jinn is a fire elemental summon. Yes, the D-Lunars would sort of heal for a little bit because that is their remedy, is their counter to summons. It recovers 10% of their hit points, but it wouldn't be as much as what Jinn would dish out.
Yeah, right you are. We do have the Legend Sword, and it's vanilla here in deals. Not necessary for this specific flag set, but very, very nice for Kinda Nerdy Housewife, who has picked up that Cecil. That is one half of the side quest to getting Cecil's Excalibur, one of the best holy swords in the game, and it can make Cecil a real damage powerhouse if that adamant ore can be found in order to forge it. And looks like Moonblaze Wolf, checks on Cecil. Not interested in him, though. I'm going to leave him behind and move on.
Yeah. And considering that the Legend Sword is serviceable as a weapon, it might be something just to stick on to Cecil, just to start off with.
Yeah, it's one of those things that often goes overlooked. But yeah, in the vanilla Final Fantasy IV game, it's essentially your initial sword that you use with Cecil after he becomes a paladin. You can actually equip the Legend Sword as a weapon. It's not a phenomenal weapon, but it can definitely get you by and is a lot better than that silver staff that Cecil starts with in Free Enterprise.
Yeah, it's actually automatically on him in the vanilla game. But there is a fire sword that some people do have as a weapon, and depending on the character, the enemy, you might see people equipping that Legend Sword instead. But that's if they think that is the best option.
And here we go, Moonblaze Wolf being the hero of the people and going to go check the music here in Cave Magnus. Interesting pickup there. He did check one of those chests and grabbed an Assassin Dagger, which is actually a really good piece of kit there. Being able to proc the swoon status, or death as you might know it from other Final Fantasy games. For against enemies that don't have the boss bit set, getting those death procs can be very, very useful for taking them out.
Yeah. Dr. Cossack has reflected one of the D-Lunar's breaths onto the other, so there's one frog and one dragon still out there.
Yeah, it's one of the sort of unreliable things about the frog strats is it has to line up that they both decide to reflect the frog spells onto each individual dragon. Sometimes it doesn't quite happen that way. You get one frog, one dragon left, but even that is much easier to deal with than two full-on lunar dragons. The non-amphibious one has been taken care of, and it should be a very easy job here to just clean up the toad, and there it goes.
Yeah. Considering that the breath attack does cast both Toad and Minnie on the characters, and I believe both do get put onto the dragon, I believe that gives you automatic quad damage. But let's be quiet for a moment and let Moonblaze Wolf or his Bedwood give us the tunes. do believe that Rift has got it. Young in this spot, though, could be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, this can be a surprising spot. It has a magic defense, so you pretty much can only to do damage. Now, only Kane is left, and Kane's going to be jumping, hopefully avoiding some of these attacks in the process. It looks like he should be okay as long as he keeps those potions coming out, but it's not going to be a clean fight by any stretch of the imagination.
No, he is back road, so he's only going to be taking hits a little bit of the time. However, those jumps to 400, this is going to take a fair while to actually get through, because there's about 4,000 to 5,000 hit points in this spot. So it's going to take a good 15 hits or so.
Yeah, Yang proving to be exactly what we said earlier in just being a bucket of hit points.
Yeah, he does hit very well, and yeah, having to bring those Cure 2s out to save his neck basically is proving that this is going to be a little bit slower than even he wants.
Hey, it just means more music for the chat, so.
There is that, yes.
Kinda Nerdy Housewife has finished ordeals and gotten herself a paladin, and is, like we said, one half of that Excalibur side quest done. So Kinda Nerdy Housewife in a pretty good position here. I believe being the only of our runners to have actually picked Cecil up. If that Adamant Ore does show up, then she is definitely going to have the strongest character on the board right now.
Yeah, Rex Royal is actually picking up Cecil right now. Has already done ordeals, so seeing in Cecil at that package spot was a very simple, well, just yes please. Especially when you know you've got just these 3 characters and possibly Teller on your plate at this time.
Yeah, ordeals takes so much time to get through for what is essentially only one key item check, that there really needs to be extra incentive there to do it, or you've checked all available options and just nothing is panning out. And Cecil can always be one of those wild cards that really makes you reconsider the value of ordeals. That, well, am I going to get the equipment to get Cecil online properly? Is that going to make Mount Ordeals a much more attractive prospect than it ordinarily would be? It's just one of those really fantastic little wrinkles that makes Free Enterprise so compelling.
Yeah, I do have one question though. Did Invenerable really roll a vanilla ordeals and vanilla Twin Harp key item checks? Because
I heard rumors that he wanted to maybe run the original game. Maybe some of this is seeping through. I don't know. I can't say.
And as has been said by Invenerable, with T-Pro Troya Treasury 2 strong, yes, a defense sword, one of Kane's best weapons. There's a siren in there. There's a Zeus gauntlet. There's a crystal ring. Pretty much has everything you want in there for either Kane or Cecil.
If Free Enterprise had its own version of a hype cave, it is definitely the Troya Armory in pro mode. It's valued very highly. You roll some really great stuff in there, and this is just proof of it right there. That is some phenomenal loot that is really going to be great for our runners, and getting that character power up to the position they want it to be at.
Yeah, and Moonblaze Wolf is ending no time going straight up to So Zot is going to see about the characters up there, and meanwhile, Dr. Cossack is going to give us a sort of encore of music.
Yeah, even if Zot ends up being a complete bust key item wise, just the chance 2 rolls at potential characters here to get that party strength up is more than worth the trip up here. So yeah, don't blame him one bit for immediately beelining up here.
Kind of Nerdy Housewife is going to make the Baron play as well, so we're going to see a new key item check as well here.
Yeah, I really like this. We were mentioning earlier that there's a lot of value in Baron check because not only is the key item, but it's another character role. And kind of Nerdy Housewife feeling that she is confident enough in her party that she can go ahead and take these 2 spots out. Really, really like this play here.
Yeah. And it also opens up a second key item check in the the Odin spot, the previous King of Baron. And so that could be useful later, because that could be a way to the moon, it could be the crystal itself, it could be a lot of things.
Yeah, probably not something you're going to see runners dashing to complete this early in the game, but it might be worth a check to peek in and see if it's one of those bosses that you might be able to squeeze by in a higher level spot at a lower level. Now, we've already seen Water Hag. I believe we've also seen Calcabrina, correct me if I'm wrong, which are some of the typical ones that are that can be doable much easier than their spot would otherwise dictate. But there could be some things in there like the Kaipo or Baron Guards that you might be able to squeeze a win out of. Especially Baron Guard, since we've got that Mute Dagger, since it's going to be doing extra damage, since they have the Mage classification.
Yeah, you would want to see something like a Hourglass or something like that to actually get that along, to help that along, because they are susceptible to that. Plague here, this is dangerous. And you're probably seeing the reason why. He kind of Nerdy Housewife currently has Kane in the middle, which is speeding up the counter. Because Kane is actually very fast as a character compared to everyone else on her team right now.
Yeah, and just the way the game manages to keep everyone's agility affecting their ATB gauge, but still normalizing the game so it doesn't feel like the game is super slow in the beginning and super fast when everybody has high agility. Sort of normalizes it around the character that you have in the middle. I won't go into the gritty details because I don't understand them because it's way too much math. But the basic of it is kind of Nerdy Housewife could move Kane out of that spot and potentially get a little bit of an easier time against Plague here.
Yeah, the ideal person at this moment in time would likely be Rydia, because she's probably the slowest of the 4 characters she has available. But sort of like how Rex Real has it in the middle, has her in the middle at the moment. Still having a small bit of issues because his Rydia is actually a fairly decent level, so the agility isn't as clear cut.
And meanwhile, in Mood and Blaze Wolf's ascent up Zot Tower, Golbez decided to move down a room here and teach the Maga Sisters how to properly defend a location. That being said, Moon Blaze Wolf has successfully set up the Star Veils on his characters. Golbez only attacks by casting spells, so all of those reflected hits are going to come back at him. You see he's still attacking with his characters, and that is not necessarily because of the damage they do, but because Golbez cannot trigger the end of the fight by his reflected damage. The only way to get that speech that ends the fight is to deal damage yourself. So the final blow has to come from one of your characters.
Well, that's technically not true. Mostly because he does have an actual hit point total, and he can kill himself through it. But it's something like 20 or 25,000 over the top of his of the threshold to actually trigger the speech. So it will take a lot longer to actually kill him that way. But it is possible.
Interesting. Well,
Simbu has actually one of our main finders of stuff has actually defeated him that way because it was his best option.
I would love to see what circumstances made that the best option, but I guess that's for another time.
Yeah, or even that he was just doing it just to try to see if it did happen, because he does that sort of thing.
And we're getting a little bit of knowledge here, like we mentioned earlier. It's going to be in that second spot at Dwarf Castle. Not terribly scary for our runners because we do have access to Kane on everybody. Yang is going to be the first recruitable character here, Tower of Zot. Not the best recruit, but hopefully we get a little luckier the second spot. And it is Uncle Mop himself, Fusoya, at the top of Tower of Zot.
Moonblaze Wolf is saying, I am very happy that I've come up here. I've had to deal with a very bad Yang that music spot. I've had to deal with doll bears. Here's my just rewards.
Exactly. Yeah, sometimes Free Enterprise does reward you for the throws at you. Fusoya, of course, just one of the best characters in the game, if not the best. Learns every spell you could possibly imagine outside of the summon spells. He has actually been toned down for Free Enterprise in that he doesn't have all of his spells immediately available to him in this flag set. Has to learn them 3 at a time for every boss that you defeat. Even with that, since he starts at an initial level of 50, he has very high stats. Just an all-around phenomenal character to add to your arsenal.
Yeah. The only downside of a Fu is his MP pool is fairly limited. It's not going to be a whole lot of danger for the using some of the early spells, but when you get up into those nukes, you've got 3 available, and then he's dry.
Now, that being said, if our runners do become flush with cash, I did see Soma drops available for sale somewhere.
Yes, but I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of cash available outside of some grinds. And
maybe if we get a full moon clear for whatever reason.
Yeah, but food does facilitate a lot of those grinds, actually. Having access to the weak spell, which at 1100 HP he does have available to him. Those grind options, such as going up into the if once the darkness crystal was found for this particular one, but going up into the Giant of Babel, or doing those D machines, doing a few of the gold dragons up on the moon, and those are available.
Hate to interrupt you, but I do want to point out we have got the crystal. Rex Raoul is the first person to put hands on the crystal. It is in the Baron trash can. Someone threw that thing away.
Didn't they start out there at the start of this seed?
Yeah, it was just a little bit to the right, but no, they went out the front gate. That was the problem.
Oh well, I guess the Kaipo guards here just didn't want that crystal to be found and just went, yeah, goodbye.
Now, it is important to note that even though the crystal is the necessary key item here to beat Zeromus, we still do not have any way to get to the Zeromus fight. We need either the pass to go directly there through the Troya hub, or we would need the darkness crystal, which would give us the lunar whale. We can fly that to the moon and go down to Zeromus the classical way. So we're still not in go mode here, but Rex Raoul has found arguably the most important part of go mode.
Yeah, the second boss in Baron, the one at the Odin spot, is Mum Bomb, so not something that they're going to be able to do without a little bit of preparation for that in terms of levels and equipment.
Yeah, right, you are. Moonblaze Wolf with that Fu in tow, it feels entirely confident to go take on Baron, and that means getting the crystal for himself. And so now it's just a race to find access to Zeromus.
And I think we've seen everything on the overworld now. Pretty much all the focus has been on the overworld after that initial dive into the underworld. So
Yeah,
we're
after all of...
looking,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So we're looking at something down there to give us our access to the moon.
Yeah, right you are. Right now, I would be looking at that tower because that would be two juicy checks to take there. Shouldn't be terribly difficult with the sort of party that our players have assembled at this point. That would probably be my next place to check after I'd expended the overworld like this.
Yeah, Fu pretty much opens up the underworld now for everyone. It's just how quickly do they want to get down there? They're likely going to clear out the overworld now. But yeah, difficult to really say where it will be because there are a number of checks down there. We've got the tower key, we've got the two summon monster bosses in Fae March, we've got Sheila's second check and the item from the Sylphs if they find the pan. We've got Dwarf Castle, we've got the Luca Cave. It could be behind any number of rabbit holes.
Yeah, right you are. There's still potentially a lot of seed here left to go. Then there also runs the problem is if you do find the pass in one of those places real early, then what do you do? Because you are not in a position where you can fight Zeromus. There's some very, very hard break points with regards to stats on your characters that you need to be at before you can even consider going into that fight. Well, I mean, I guess unless you have Edward and you are an absolutely amazing Edward player, as we've seen from some of our runners. But yeah, we would still need access to experience in order to get to the fight where we can go do that fight, even if they do find both parts of go mode here.
Yeah, a decent white mage would do well. Fu is good, but again, he does run into that issue of MP consumption unless you found some, say, Ether 2s. Is when it comes to the Zeromus fight. So Rosa would likely be our runner's white mage of choice, but Purim is serviceable. Oh, and people can do it with Fu if they try. Speaking of Rosa, I didn't realise that she had been already found in Baron Castle. So there you go, never mind that.
Yeah, that'll be very, very nice for Fusoya. I know that there were shoes in one of the shops. I'm almost certain I saw them, but it's still a little suboptimal to have to keep tossing them at Fu, especially in the Zeromus fight, which can be really tight for turns. Rosa greatly alleviates the amount of stress on your Fusoya, so he doesn't have to be juggling, two hats at once. You can just have him focus on dealing damage. Rosa can handle the healing all by herself, and that's going to make things a lot more manageable once you get the levels necessary under their belts to take that fight on.
Yeah, Dr. Kassak is making use of that Jinn summon. Golbez, for what is for all intents and purposes, is actually weak to fire. I believe the original plan for him was to make him alternate between fire, ice, and lightning in weaknesses or strengths, but they forgot to put it in and just have him permanently weak to fire. So Jinn actually does a whole lot.
The way I reason it as well, as someone who has worn full plate mail before in the sweltering Georgia heat, it makes perfect sense to me that someone clad in that much black armor would be weak to fire.
Oh no, Dr. Cossack. Died to Golbez, and his last save is before the Dark Elf spot.
That is just what we were talking about earlier. Always make sure you're throwing down saves, redundant saves, everything like that, because yeah, this you hate it's awful to see. It's heartbreaking when something like that happens.
Yeah, you don't know what's around that corner, and Golbez outlasted the walls, so that is why that happened. So it's unfortunate.
Though, big shout out to Dr. Cossack right here. Wasting no time, jumping right back into it for a big setback like that. lot of character and a lot of backbone there. So good for him for not wasting any time and just getting right back into this race as quickly as he can.
Yeah. Moonblade Wolf is down in Dwarf Castle, fighting the first boss there, which is the Baron Guards. So nukes and done. Kind of Nerdy Housewife is giving us another taste of music.
Yeah, a lot of kids running through the streets here tonight. We do know the second fight in Dwarf Castle is going to be Volvalis. Shouldn't be much of a problem, even if this is a particularly evasive spot for her. We've got Kane in order to knock her out of that so she can be hit properly with one of those nukes and taken care of.
Yeah. Moonblaze Wolf is also, I'm assuming, in knocking off or Rosa and was trying to knock off Rydia as well to give them a bit of a jump in their experience later, but didn't quite get the Rydia drop.
Yeah, that's a really heads-up play there. He knows he's not going to essentially game, so there's really no reason to waste. I say waste, but to have her get XP this earlier. Oh, and there's a second Rosa, so we know who our dupe character is. But yeah, there's no reason to get her the XP now when she doesn't necessarily need it. Might as well save it for later when you can take advantage of Free Enterprise's slingshotting mechanics to get low characters back up into fighting shape. So you can use it, get her alive when you're in a spot that gives a ton of experience, and get her online way quicker than you ordinarily would.
Yeah, it has been toned down with the beta. You're only going to get double experience when characters are 5 levels ahead. Now you're not going to get that triple when 10 levels below, but it's still a fairly substantial jump. And Valvalis was sort of nuked down. Unfortunately for her, in that spot there is no magic defense, so nuke just cut right through her.
And let's see what Luca had around her neck here. The spoon. Not
Memes were had today.
Yeah. Definitely the memeiest item, but not exactly the neediest item. We do not have the spoon flag on tonight, so Edward is not going to be able to take advantage of that. And I believe we saw Edge sleeping over in Kaipo. Chances are he's going to be sleeping over in Kaipo forever. I can't see many of our runners really racing over to get him unless the Sand Ruby shows up very closely here. So that spoon is just going to rot in the inventory, sadly.
Well, they could sell it for 5,000 gold.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Never mind. It is an expensive spoon. It's a very nice spoon.
Yeah, it must be a silver spoon. But then again, it's Edward who wants to use it, and Sheila only has the finest crockery.
Also, shout-outs to Baka Shinobi for the 10 months in a row subscription. Thank you very much.
Looks like Moonblaze is heading up to the tower. One thing we definitely do know, though, in this particular seed today is that Moon is not required. So we're not going to see any of the boss spots up there. We might see a grind up there, but that's probably going to be the limit of it. And that's even if we find the Darkness Crystal before the pass.
Yeah, there's a very good chance we could find that pass without ever needing to utilize much of the Darkness Crystal here. And look at that. D-Mist was in the half tower here. So that is 3 key item checks inside of the tower.
You know what you said earlier about tower being a play that could have been made for that simple key item and a little bit of experience influx. With D-Mist being there, that wouldn't have been a bad play.
It really depends on what ends up, what you end up getting from these key item spots. But even if they're not specifically key items, those extra key item spots are filled in with high tier equipment, and with some characters in here that could really benefit with that kind of equipment. If something like a Dragoon Spear or a White Lance or even a Holy Sword shows up here, then yeah, that could have been a very interesting early play. But we'll see what ends up coming from those 2 checks here.
Yeah. Rex Royal is going through the Golbez at the moment. Losing Rosa, losing Kane. Still has Cecil, Edward, and Rydia, so shouldn't be too bad once the Star Veils are up.
Yeah, CPU, one of those fights that isn't terribly threatening, but always a pain to see, just because it's so difficult to actually deal damage to it. You're most of the time attacking a back row target. It's got auto reflect up, so it's going to be reflecting magic to you. Just a real hassle. The only damage it deals only does 10% of your max HP a turn, so there's no threat of it actually bursting you down with damage. It's just kind of a slog of a fight.
Yeah, there are plenty of ways through this fight. I believe, yeah, here comes the Meteors. So, do the Meteor, everyone. Unfortunately, this isn't enough to kill the back row CPU straight up. I think you need to do something like 22,000 damage at this spot to defeat it. So it takes at least 2 if it doesn't get healed.
Which means we're going to be seeing some Globe 99s here. Not horribly threatening when you have a full team of 5 party members, because you can just get those, or Globe 199s, excuse me. You just get them up with a quick life and get back into the fight. Again, once the CPU revives the bits, they're not going to be doing a ton of damage as long as you get a little bit of healing out on those characters you revive. So it's not.
Did I just see that? One of the Globe Not 199s missed.
You're right, it did miss.
I have never seen Globe 199 miss its target.
Huh.
I know this spot isn't high on magic power anyway, but I've never seen Globe 199 miss its target.
Yeah, I think that's a new one for me too. And Venerable in chat confirming you can also dodge Mega Nukes and waves too. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I've seen both of those, but I've not seen 199 miss. It's just rare. I guess we're still learning things in Free Enterprise.
Yeah, it always has something it can teach you. Whenever you think you know everything in the game, it throws a curveball at you.
Now that two Meteors have come down onto the CPU, it is currently embedded in a load of rock, and just the attacker will finish this fight up. Meanwhile, Dr. Cossack is, I don't believe, gone back to the Tower of Zot, has instead opted to go underground. And while Conjure Nerdy Housewife is picking up against Golbez now. Rex Royal is actually picking up his Fu now, changing over for Edward. Not exactly a hard swap to make.
Yeah, I would say that's all in all a solid upgrade there.
But then again, you never know when Edward could be useful. There might be that rude Odin somewhere that you need to Thunderstrike. I know, I'm not convincing myself either right now.
Now there's Edward is one of those characters that can really separate the top tier runners from the absolute top tier runners. There are some players out there that can really make Edward, if you'll pardon the expression, sing when he's in their hands. Just really making phenomenal use, very creative use of that hide command in order to pull off feats and victories when reasonably there should be no chance of succeeding. So Edward definitely has his uses. Just a cat claw there for the half tower. So unless Miss Dragon's got something, looks like that would not have been the play.
Yeah, it's still the experience, that the only little bit of experience, and whatever Miss Dragon has. So there's still possibilities on it. Dr. Cossack is actually picking up where Teller is useful, and having, I'm not sure if that was Teller or Rydia, having toaded the guards. So they are basically frogs.
Yeah, always remember your status magic when you run across these that don't have the boss bit set. Those spells and abilities that can set statuses on enemies that you normally just kind of bypass to get to your big damage spells can actually be incredibly useful at trivializing a lot of these fights.
Yeah, size is one of the options for heavy physical bosses. The Baron guards, they're susceptible to Toad, which would pretty much remove all their actual abilities, their counters, and reduce their defense. So yeah, heads up play by Dr. Cossack there, just to make that fight a little bit easier. Might have a bit more trouble with Valvalis here, but Kane can jump.
And I missed what the Sylphs gave Moonblaze Wolf, but checking Mama Rydia here, and she has got Zeus Gauntlets. Not progression, but when you've got a couple of frontliners, not something awful to find.
Especially Young, who makes exceptional use of strength. Pan was an Excalibur, apparently, according to Hawk Laser. Which...
that's excellent for kind of nerdy housewife when she gets there.
Yeah, but Moonblaze Wolf doesn't have that Cecil.
That is correct.
So...
I'm just going to go check Sheila too now. And I believe if this is not the Darkness Crystal, it's got to be one of the Fae March bosses, unless I've missed something here.
Or it could be a chain item into the Darkness Crystal.
Oh, that's true. That's very true.
Adamant.
Oh, there's the Adamant.
So we know where a second Excalibur is.
So unfortunately, unless Cecil has suddenly learned the ability to dual wield, that's since you have to get the Excalibur on the way to getting the Adamant anyway, not terribly useful.
Yeah.
Now, it does open up that extra shop inside of the Coco Smith if you do go through with the entire side quest there, and that shop can carry some very high-tier gear. So it can be useful, but not something that you'll usually go out of your way to unlock.
Yeah, and in Moonblaze Wolf's case, hasn't actually been up ordeals, so doesn't have that Legend Sword to actually have that option right now.
Yeah, right you are.
Rex Royal is actually coughing the Dark Imps in the Fae March, so could be well on their way to picking up a Darkness Crystal out of nowhere. Or the pass out of nowhere. Who knows?
Yeah, there's a distinct possibility here that we're going to run into those. Tries to do the stone spell with Fusoya, but does not land. He's going to take a round of attacks here from the Dark Imps. They do hit hard here, but he should be able to manage.
Yeah, no sources of stop, unfortunately, so... And looks like only had the one coffin, so that could be the reason why we've only seen the one.
Yeah, we got Fusoya manually casting the Fatal spell here, which has the same effect as Coffin, but it has a long time on it. So he's going to have to, and especially since these are particularly speedy spots, he's going to play real hard defense here to make that cast get off here.
Yeah. And yeah, these Dark Imps don't play around at this moment in time. Here comes the Fatal, and it whiffs, because I think having Fu in that spot isn't good for magic accuracy. If he was in the center, it probably would have hit.
Yeah, the center spot gives an inherent accuracy bonus. So if you need to hit with some dicey abilities, that can be a good place to stick a character.
Yeah. Especially Fu, who doesn't have the highest wisdom or will stat naturally. And having a a bit of a stat stick. That Lilith Rod would actually help that accuracy. So
Yeah, I know there was a Stardust Rod from the completion of Zot, which would very help the highest.
no, it was a
movement
Stardust
ranking.
item. Sorry.
Oh, was it? My
Yeah,
mistake.
Invulnerable specifically said Stardust, and then with a pause item to try and catch people out.
Wouldn't be the first time I've been tricked by that. And Odin spot just given a Drain Spear. That's the biggest womp womp of the night so far.
For some people, but for many other people, it's the prize of the seed.
Can really help you out if you're running a Caddis Seed and have absolutely no way to cane last fight.
Yeah, but if you're that desperate, load another Caddis Seed.
Getting some confirmation in the chat that the accuracy of stone is only 30%. I did not realize it was that low. My goodness.
The big difference between Stone and Fatal, other than that, is that Stone is much quicker to cast. Fatal, I believe, has a cast time of 5.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the longer spells.
Yeah, it's not quite up there with Meteo, but it's almost at that point. Size, on the other hand, is a very good item, a very good choice.
That was some smart play there by Rex Raoul. That's going to give him all the time that he needs to either get those fatals to hit or deal the damage that he does. The Size spell effectively neutralizes an enemy like the Dark Imp that relies entirely on physical damage. They are not a threat anymore, and this fight is pretty much given. Just to be a matter of time now.
Just make sure that everyone stays alive, which they should with those, even with a Rydia's paltry 5 HP right now. But because they're mini, not only are they going to be dealing less damage, they're also going to be taking much, much more damage. So everything is going to be fine here now. Meanwhile, Moonblade's Wolf is on the other side of the room, facing the Antline.
Yep, kind of nerdy housewife fighting for her life here against Mom Bomb. Thinks she might have pulled it off here with that Quake. So real good news for here, but unfortunately, it's just a Drain Spear.
I think the bigger loss there is the experience. Although Mum Bomb does reduce the amount of experience you gain from that fight. Having that little bit of influx, what was it, 16,000 experience, would be nice for all of the characters except Fu.
Yeah, definitely. And this sort of goes back to one of the things that you mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast about, how much the randomizer has changed. And, the flag set that we are using tonight was sort of to harken back to the way we was at the beginning of the year. But just that one tiny change, using that pro randomization for treasures and shops has really drastically changed the way we approach a lot of these fights. Since items, when they're used, have basically 100% accuracy as opposed to spells, they're such a reliable way to inflict these statuses on those enemies that that are vulnerable to them. Something like Dark Imps was always considered a free fight in the past, and now you've got Rex Raoul having to delve deep into the bag of tricks to come up with a win here. So it really is kind of a healthier, more involved meta now going forward with the beta. Now that we've got these items that used to be given, like hourglasses and such, are sort of a rare commodity.
Yeah, I wasn't on the train of good thoughts for hourglasses being so rare, because although they trivialize a lot of the things, there are a lot of things they can still be. I sort of had other ideas of how it could be. They could be sort of nerfed a little bit, but instead of how much they changed it. But I have come around to how much it has changed the game. It's a whole lot more interesting now. Not having those easy options, those easy outs of this type of fight.
Yeah, exactly. It can be a huge culture shock to have to adapt to something like that. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right that it does make things far more interesting. That you have to have a bigger backlog of strategies and just a deeper knowledge of the game in order to succeed in places that were kind of given before.
Yeah, and it's not like you had those items in the vanilla game anyway. There's our darkness crystal, by the way. Those hourglasses were rare. A lot of the stuff was rare. You couldn't just pick up a stack of 20 at the shop, every shop. You had to pick and choose when you was going to use them. And
yeah,
this
precisely.
actually, and the way it is at the moment, exemplifies how it is.
Yeah, it's sort of not only more interesting but truer to the spirit of the original Final Fantasy IV. Well, at least the Japanese version. The US, we never got these items to begin with. So.
Yeah, and one thing that has been expressly stated a lot by the engineers and the workshop helpers, one of the things they want to keep intact of this particular randomizer is they want it to be faithful to the game. They don't want major changes. They don't want everything being handed to you. You've got to work for it.
Yeah, it's a fine balance to walk between wanting to keep the spirit of the original game alive and change literally everything about the game every time that you play it. But yeah, the board face and the crew did a fantastic job of keeping everybody's and just keeping a number of different ways to play the game so that just keep the whole community happy. That's pretty fantastic. Rex heading to the moon. He is in go mode, but he just needs the levels to fight Zeromus here, and it looks like he is going to go to the moon to get them.
Yeah. To answer Invenerable, I do believe he did, because I believe he was one of the ones to face Malmbalm and get the Drain Spear. I believe both Kinda Nerdy Housewife and Moonblaze Wolf did that.
Oh no, I take it back. Rex Rule is actually going to the Giant. Looks like we're going to see a D-Machine grind here tonight.
It wouldn't be a bad play. Get those levels. It's a very good source of experience. So it'll get Rydia up to that nuke level. Give Kane and Cecil that attack power that we need, and really just help finish up that this seed in a fairly good fashion for him.
Yeah, doing a quick key item count here. Looks like he has 8. So won't be getting the double experience here. So this is going to take a little bit longer than it would otherwise. But when you've got Fu with that weak spell and access to ethers, which I believe he does, should be able to do it all within the span of one fight.
Yeah. Moonblaze Wolf does have 2 sirens, so that might be his choice of what he's going to use to get his experience in this bit. Fighting 2 sets of gold dragons up on the moon, and that will put him a bit closer, but won't give him quite as much experience.
Yeah, but on the other hand, he does surpass that 10 key item breakpoint there, so he is going to be getting double experience. When you're at that part and you've got the sirens, those gold dragons look a lot more attractive, especially since it's already on the way there. Actually, he does take the Palom there, which is, let's see, putting the cursed ring on might just be using him as an anchor.
Yeah, the Palom is a very good black mage, but he's also a very good anchor as agility. I believe I'm not completely certain about this, but I believe he's the third slowest character in the game. So he's surprisingly good for that.
Yeah, something about this game and wanting to make mages slow.
Yeah. Probably to sort of offset the fact that they can do massive amount of damage with their high tier spells.
That's very true.
But then again, maybe they just didn't want to tone down Nuke to only do something like 4,000 damage.
Rexroll following that chart here and still looking for the D-Machine fight. Don't see him running away here, so this might be the encounter you're looking for. There are two encounters that look identical when you were searching for that D-Machine fight. They look just like this, and unless you are following a very specific set of instructions so that you know exactly what encounter you're going to get, you won't know if you found the right fight until you actually hit that searcher and it summons what you're looking for. If you get a D-Machine, great. If you don't, well, then you're going to be resetting it.
Yeah, there are a number of ones that do have the Centaur as the first one, and then straight into a D-Machine, and this looks like one of those particular step routes that did that. So here is our first D-Machine, and he's going to be well on his way to gain some levels. Same with Moonblaze, who has cracked open that Siren and is going about destroying those King Ryus.
Yeah, both Rexroll and Moonblaze Wolf approaching the end here. I would give the edge to Moonblaze Wolf here for a bit, just because I think he's got the better grind option here with the Sirens. I think especially since he has the 10 key items and that this is going to dump him off right next to the end of the game anyway. I think he's going to have a little bit of advantage here going into Zeromus.
Yeah, and considering what it's looking like he's going to do with his Zeromus fight, which is to Berserk Young and Berserk Kane, with Fu maybe tossing out the occasional Nuke and Rosa curing for the entire fight. You don't need a whole lot of levels. Level 45 level is probably the minimum he's wanting to look at here.
Yeah, he's got a team that's strong enough with the right equipment to just sort of be able to go in. Not going to have to do anything too fancy. Just set your berserks up, keep your healing rotation going out. If you're feeling it's particularly spicy, maybe reflect a few nukes of that food, just like you said. But other than that, this is going to be a very straightforward Zeromus fight, absolutely.
Yeah. Kind of nerdy housewife is just now picking up her Excalibur. She'll be happy to see that, but not happy to see that the second one's available as well straight after.
Yeah, that being said, she is going to be our first of our runners to get a Holy Sword Cecil online. And already going to move that Excalibur onto Cecil. Is she going to move the Defender Sword over to Kane? A lot of people consider the Defender Kane's ultimate weapon, especially since swords have such a better accuracy rating than spears do. Not to mention the extra defense that it gives him as well. So she has got two incredibly beefy frontline fighters now.
Rexroll doesn't quite have that ability with his Cecil because he hasn't had that pan and so hasn't got open that option open.
I'm trying to think of what the highest power sword we've seen Rexroll. What Cecil's going to be going to the final fight? Is it a flame sword?
It's either a flame sword or that defender. Maybe.
Oh right, the defender. Yeah.
I would probably put the defender more on Cecil because he does have slightly better stats than Kane in terms of damage. But it's really personal preference on who you want to use. Yeah.
2,100 damage from Rydia there. That's got to be a dragon.
Yes, I have seen a few people with a dragon whip. There have been some places, so Yeah, don't write off Rydia with physicals. She can do a heck of a lot of work with, say, Dragon Whip, Heroine, Bandana, Zeus Gauntlet.
Absolutely. And one of the things doesn't get talked about much, when Rydia grows up, she can actually equip the Zeus Gauntlet. So if you throw Heroine Robe, Zeus Gauntlet, give her a Dragon Whip, she can really go to town with some of your other frontline fighters. I've brought her to a number of Zeromus battles and zerked her up, and it's worked out pretty well. So the Heroine Robe is a very, very interesting item because it can really change the dynamic of how the women in your party operate.
Yeah, it as Invenable likes to call her, Berserker with Artemis. As Heroine Robe is one of his favourite things to do almost any time. So you can't exactly say no to it if it gives you that option.
Yeah, it's one of those things. A lot of people, love Rosa, White Mage of the game, but the thing about White Magic is it isn't always strictly necessary. There's a couple of buff spells that you really don't need. I mean, nine times out of 10 in any given fight, if that's not healing intensive, your Rosa's just going to be casting Berserk instead of any of the healing spells. So why not throw that Heroine Robe on her? Put a good bow and arrow in her hands and let her go to town herself. Put that Berserk to use on herself and add to the damage output of your party.
It's definitely a very good option early and to continue on throughout the game if you so choose, and if you've got those options. Moonblaze Wolf is fighting Odin. Looks like he needed a little bit of extra levels. Unfortunately, Rosa isn't getting those levels, but that white shirt could just negate the need of those.
Whew, yeah, that's really, really nice to pick up right before the Zeromus fight. The white shirt gives an enormous amount of will, and as luck would have it, Zeromus only uses magic attacks, so any way to increase that magic defense is definitely appreciated. That's going to be phenomenal on Rosa. I think Moonblaze Wolf is good to go here.
Interesting swap out though. He's given the white robe to Fu, and the sorcerer robe that was on Fu to Rosa. So looks like he's choosing to just go pure Berserk and heal in this, rather than going with nukes.
I like this. If the advantage to this sort of a strategy is the way the ATB system in this game works is you can sort of flood the command queue and make it so that Zeromus has a difficult time actually getting an attack in. The more people you have berserking, the more times the computer is putting in attack commands for your characters, and the harder it is for Zeromus to actually get in and actually get some attacks. And you end up doing, even though Berserk doubles your damage, you end up practically doing way more damage than that just from the extra turns you get to sneak in through that. So more Berserkers always better. Well, I think this is the last time this year we get to ask this question, Poydrak. Would you do the honors?
No, I'll let you do it because I never do it. So go ahead. Do it.
All right.
With
For the last time in 2019, until next decade, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
And I'm honestly on Nitara's train here. Let's have it as Ultrosmus, just for her to see out the year. Please.
She asks for it every time. She needs those good vibes to feel better. Come on, Ultrosmus.
No.
Oh,
it's great.
It's kind of like Ultros.
No. This is as un-Ultros-like as you can make it. Ultros can be cuddly. Kraid, not at all.
Oh, you're not going to sit there and tell me Mini Kraid isn't cuddly?
Yes, I am actually. But Sculler is right here. It does fit the GDQ theme, with Super Metroid being a very big part of that particular marathon.
Yeah, absolutely. And big shout out to Scala Kitty for handling so many of these wonderful Z Strites that we get in. One of the most exciting parts of any given free enterprise seed is the randomized Zeromus fight at the end. And this is actually a really nice looking one. It fits the frame over on Zeromus' side very, very nicely.
It even has that little wave down the bottom, like he's coming out of the ground like he does in the game as well.
So as expected, Palom bites the Stardust, only there for his low agility. Things to be better for Moonblaze Wolf's team compared to Zeromus. And here come the nukes.
They won't be hitting as hard because of that. He's only got the Lunar Staff and the White Robe. He doesn't have a whole lot of extra wisdom power to add on to those nuke rolls. However, the will that it's given him has enabled him to really take very little damage from that initial Big Bang, and likely won't be taking a whole lot from the rest of them either. Yang doing casual 2300. As we said earlier, he benefits greatly from levels. He's currently about level 47, so he's just now hitting his really big stride. Right, Kane with that Defender Sword doing a fair amount of damage himself. So yeah, this fight should be fairly routine from this point.
Yeah, the only wrench that could get thrown into the works here is Rosa has a amount of HP. It's not a huge problem, but a particularly high-rolled Big Bang could take her out. Of course, there's plenty of fallbacks here. It would be the likelihood of both. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think he is really bringing any bets on Rosa surviving here. I think it's all on Fu, with him using that elixir to replenish Fu's MP there, and he's got a Aether 2 that might be thrown later. Fu is the one that's going to be more in charge of healing if Rosa does go down. Rosa's nice if she survives, but he's not counting on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that might go into why the decision to put the white robe on Fu rather than on Rosa here was just banking on Fu's survivability over Rosa, since, like you said, she didn't get that last bit of XP from the Odin fight at the D Lunar spot.
Yeah, it might have been different if she got that at 200,000 experience, but not necessary. Meteo only hits Yang. If that had hit all three, that would have left Yang alone. He likely would have been able to finish it out, but the dodging of Fu and of Kane there just sort of has cemented this fight for him.
Yang doing what Yang does best and takes hits. And down goes Kratos. The done is in, and Moonblaze has finished first place in tonight's race, the last community race of 2019, with a time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, 27 seconds. Big GG's to Moonblaze Wolf, and we'll see if we can get him in.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, Rex Real has finished his grind. He finished up with the D machines, didn't quite have enough experience, and then went and fought Asura at the element spot, so looks like he's on his way to Zeromus now.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's going to poke his head into that D spot, see that Odin there, and decide to take it on for the XP there. The D Lunar spot, one of the highest XP spots in the entire game, so a lot of people like to check that just for the experience alone, not to mention the two key items that would give if you're still hunting those.
We have got a second place finisher as well. Flurry14 has finished with a time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, 20 seconds. So GG to him, coming in second in the last race of the year. And I do believe we have now been joined by a certain Moonblaze Wolf, who is probably happy with his victory there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's good to end the year on a high note.
Excellent. So we noticed that you picked the package boss and saw Cecil, why didn't you take him?
I mean, I needed a good character right then, and Cecil wasn't it, and I really, really did not want to do ordeals, so he was going to push me to ordeals, and he wasn't going to help me in the short term, so I just figured if I want a character like that, I can go get Tella, he's up on Hobbs.
Yeah, that ended up being a very strong decision. The item up on ordeals was just Legend Sword, and I believe you're the only runner on stream who did not do ordeals, and ended up getting you a lot of time. So strong decision making there.
Well, I just remember back to the original League flag set, and ordeals was not the play. So I think a lot of what we've been doing lately, whether it was where you had like Forge, where you had a guaranteed Excalibur in the pool, or now with some of the more objective-based seeds, giving you maybe more boss hunts that you want to look for. I think ordeals is much more appealing, but back in the day, we didn't like to go to ordeals all that much if we didn't have to.
Yeah, that one check for that one item did tend to bite you a little bit more than it actually rewarded you.
Speaking of those more objective-based flag sets, was there anything you sort of did, any kind of decisions you made differently, any sort of mental ways you prepared differently for going back to this sort of more vanilla free enterprise approach as opposed to some of the sort of crazy objectives we've been doing as of late?
I mean, not really. Other than just kind of in my mind, I think the biggest difference is probably like the character driven flags in particular. So, you know, the no dupes and no retrieving means that you have to be a little bit more selective, I would say, about your character pickups. And, you know, once you kind of have a good party, you just sort of have to go with it. So I guess I would say it was a weird seed because you started with the Magma Key as well. And then the early characters were not that great. So I don't think I've ever been so happy to see an Earth Crystal in my life, to be honest.
Yeah, that ended up being huge. I think it's fair to say that Fusoya was the turning point as far as party power, right?
Well, but not only that, but like the Zot or the Troya Treasury was just absolutely loaded. It had a defense sword, it had 2 crystal rings, it had a Zeus gauntlet. So, I mean, it really was kind of like breaking the seed open to get that. Even if Fu hadn't been up there, having a Kane with a Zeus gauntlet and a defense sword was going to get me really far at that point.
Speaking of items, it was given to you as the Magma Key start, and the way the beta has changed items, sort of where the good stuff is kept, that led you straight into the Land of Summer Monsters. Was that a calculated decision on your part, knowing that there was possibly some decent stuff down there?
I mean, I think that's a pretty solid play right now if it's T-Pro, because my original plan was going to be to save Scum Eblin Castle and try to get some good loot out of there, especially when I had a Kane start, because Kane is one of the characters that can really benefit from, you know, getting access to that higher tier gear early on. But when it was a Magma Key start, I kind of just like, oh, I'm going right to the Land of Summon Monsters. I'll do my save scumming down there, and I'll pick up a couple free key items along the way too. And it worked out pretty well, I think. So.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I've said it before, but the changes to where the items are is one of the biggest changes in the beta, and you proved it that today that you have to think differently. Where you found some okay stuff down there, the others didn't quite have anything good, although they did find the tools necessary to get them started. You probably found a few extra things that they didn't, that probably put your head a little bit more as well.
Yeah, I would say my Kane was pretty good to go after that trip through Land of Summon Monsters. I think I got like a fire sword and a black belt, so that was a pretty good start. I guess talking about the item changes as well, like the rebalancing there, it was really awkward trying to figure out how to get enough XP, how to do my grind, and then how to kind of get to Zeromus ready levels as well. And like the Dark Imp fight was actually very difficult. So there was a lot of stuff that was affected by the beta flags, I would say.
Yeah, it's a nice showcase of how things have changed with the beta by doing this fairly old style flag set in a new style environment.
Yeah, it's been a good year. We've come a long way.
Well, one more question for you, Moon, before we let you go. This is the last community race of the year. What's your free enterprise New Year's resolution next year?
Oh man. Well, I kind of just need to see what they are brewing up for the spring event, but I mean, I love playing this game, showcasing this game. I love playing it competitively and casually, just all the fun things. It's such an amazing community and such a great randomizer. So I mean, honestly, my 2019 was pretty good. I don't want to like set any lofty goals for myself, but I'll just say I think one of my goals for the year is to get even more involved in the community and making sure that everybody gets to enjoy the awesome events that get put on here.
Seems like a very good goal. So congratulations on your first place. We'll let you go and then we'll focus back on the rest of the runners. But have a good end of the year. Have a good last couple of days of this one. And we'll see you in the new one.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody who helped out with the restream tonight. Dathus, Inven, and you both as well on the mics. Appreciate it.
Take care, Moon. Have a good one.
So while we've had that interview, as you can see, Rex Royal is well into his Zeromus fight right now. We have also had a third place finisher, Dia, who has been tearing it up in these last few months. So she has finished in third place with 1 hour, 28 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yeah, GG to Dia. That is definitely a name watch going into next year. As we move into the tournament season, definitely someone who is poised to challenge some of the top players here. So very exciting to watch Dia play.
Yeah, we've got a whole host of very good runners who both running in this and who have just taken the end of the year off just to probably spend time with their families and recharge their batteries. I'm sure they'll be back ready and raring to go in the new year.
Yeah, absolutely. And seeing some white reflection here on Rex Brul's screen, definitely like to see that. If you don't feel like you really need to throw some healing out with that Rosa, put her to use by putting some damage out. White not necessarily as good as Nuke, since it does have a little bit larger of a cast time, but still a really good way for a magically inclined Rosa to contribute to your damage output.
Indeed. Yeah. The boys at the front aren't Tom and Ben, as Rex Royal has named them, is definitely on with the power. It's just keep them alive and this fight will be fine.
It's just occurred to me that he's named his entire team Parks and Recreation characters.
They're bringing out all the references today. So maybe they're just doing it just for you.
No, I love it. I love it. One of my favorite little features that added to Free Enterprise was the ability to name your characters before the race starts. It's so much fun to put in like your friends, random other characters, something funny, and it's always great to see how different people utilize it.
Ah, the fashion designer. Is that the first job dwarf check we've had today?
I believe it was checked earlier. Rex Raoul, always a fan of
of course,
the job dwarf. Went there pretty immediately. I am a fan of dwarf fashion, so definitely good to see that.
Yeah, all that metal is just right up your alley, isn't it?
Plate armor and horn helmets. What more can you ask for?
I'm more of a medium armor type person, and leather, the archer lifestyle. That's me.
We've got rocks falling on Rex Roll's screen, and the end is in sight. Well, the end is a little further out in sight now that we've got a little bit. But
still got Fu and Cecil still in fairly good condition, so I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. Whiting himself into the face. Okay.
I think it's up to Cecil at this point.
There's the Meteo, or should have been the Meteo, and there's the
to
Flash.
see that.
So Rexroll has finished in 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 0 seconds. So GG to him, and we'll see if we can get him in to have a little bit of a chat with us.
Yeah, GG's indeed. All of these runners putting up times at about the 90-minute mark. This is really, pretty fantastic for this kind of flag set. That was 90 minutes for this sort of competitive, free enterprise, flag set that we sort of saw a lot last year for tournament play. Which 90 minutes was really considered a very, very good time. So seeing so many runners able to approach that is really shows you just kind of the strength of the field that we have going tonight.
Yeah, and it also shows that although there have been changes to the randomizer when it comes to the times to finish the flags, they haven't changed too much. And Rex Royal, I believe you've just joined us. GG, and did you have fun?
I did.
Excellent.
Kind of made things a little dramatic there at the end with the.
Well, I mean, just my luck. Like, right when we get to Meteo phase, the final blow is right when the wallet goes away on Rosa. So, we got the job done there. So that's what matters.
We're going to have to keep Invenerable away from you because you did have Rosa white herself in the face.
She did.
So we're trying to hold Invenerable back from you hurting his bay. So please, no fisticuffs between you, please.
That's okay. It was 100% unintentional. Much as my fight with Ashura was 100% unintentional. But that warp kind of always feels like it works funny in the Giant. And I thought I was in a different room, and then it's like the battle started queuing up like, oh, I don't think I saved, so I've got to go through this battle. Luckily, I was able to do it, and it ended up being a little bit nice because it ended up being the experience that I needed for Rosa to learn white, so that made Zeromus a lot easier as well.
That's actually interesting. I didn't even register that the fight with that maybe you hadn't gotten quite as much experience from the D-mists than you were comfortable with, since you didn't have the 2x multiplier from your key item count. So it was entirely intentional.
I thought that I thought that I was ready to go anyways, even if she didn't have white. I just put the heroine robe on her and go try Zerker with Kane, Kane, Cecil, and Rosa, and then use just Fusia for healing. And I kind of thought that was going to be my strategy. When I accidentally fought Ashura, then I'm like, oh, okay, now I can do it just like a hybrid strategy, which is my preferred way of fighting Zeromus anyways, so.
Well, there you go. So, a happy little accident for someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, warping that spot though is a little bit interesting. Some places take you back, but in that particular one, if you go to the bridge,
right,
leading there and then back out, it takes you to the bridge edge and then takes you back, and then you go back. Warp is a funny thing. You have to be very, very specific about where you're using it for.
Yeah, I figure I should just stick to using it in the Dwarf Castle room when the glitch is on, and the Sealed Cave, because it always works fine in the Sealed Cave. So...
Yeah, it actually works better in the Sealed Cave because when you've gone back a room, it doesn't take you back and then back again. It's like it does in the Giant. So yeah, because of its fickle nature, it's not a surprise that you had a little bit of issue with it.
Yeah.
Uh,
If only I recognized which room I was in, because it should have been the stomach room after the passage, which is like a full floor. But I'm like, oh, I must be at the beginning of the giant. This is going to just be an easy walk out. No. Come on.
Yeah, but everything works out in the end for how you're wanting it. Zeromus was fairly simple, even if you did have that little bit of a hiccup at the end.
Yeah,
So,
it took a little bit longer too because I didn't get a better weapon other than the flame spear for Kane, even after looting the huge treasure room in Troya. Got a defense sword, but my boy Cecil's got to use that one in that case.
yeah, I believe we said that he does have slightly better stats for physical damage output than Kane does. So, and yeah, Magma Crystal start. How did that? How you went straight underground with it?
Yes.
Any particular reason for that play?
I think, like, I like the looting options in the underworld a little bit better than the vanilla overworld. So just like the chests that I open, the equipment and the money that I get, I just think I've got a little bit better of a stack if I start under there. Plus, I get that free check of the key item in the Fae March, and I get to see the upgraded shops right away. So I get to know, is there going to be Bacchuses available somewhere easy? Is there going to be Sirens available somewhere easy? Are there going to be Hourglasses available somewhere easy? Turns out there wasn't. Cure 3s were the only like good item that I saw underground, and cabins, of course. But at least I had that knowledge going in, and before I start anything on the overworld. If I get the magma key early, I like super early, like first, like right away, like that. I like going underground right away. The only thing that I regret is I should have done Sheila 1. Luckily, it didn't end up. It didn't end up biting me, but I usually, when I do this early one, I also do open up Sheila 1 so that when I go to the Fabul defense, I'd also get a key item from Sheila. But I missed that on this one.
Yeah, luckily this time it was the tower key, and the tower did have Mist Dragon, but that was only for Zeus Gauntlet, and I believe the pan was at the top of the tower. So, and that only led you to an Excalibur and the Adamant for the second Excalibur. So,
an Adamant would have been nice since I had the Legend Sword. But the Excalibur, like if I could have had an Excalibur, then I could have Kane with the defense. It would have been a lot more damage output. But other than that, I wasn't going to do tower if I didn't have to, and I didn't. So.
Yeah. Well, you dodged that bullet by not even getting the key item to go in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So Smoke D has asked this of Moonblaze Wolf, so I'm going to ask you, we're coming into a new year. What's your Final Fantasy 4 Free Enterprise resolution for the new year?
I guess it's kind of like a general thing rather than a specific, but try to have a little bit less tunnel vision, because I'm the guy who'll go at those Fae March bosses at low levels too many times. Just beat my head against them. Like if I have any chance of winning, I think I'm gonna just keep trying over and over again.
I know that feeling.
So that's what I've got. I've got to learn how to cut my losses, get out of there, and go back there when I should. Yeah. But I mean, even in this seed, those dark imps were no joke. Since I didn't have an hourglass, I was just like trying to get any status spell to hit. Finally, I got size to work, and it's like, oh, now I'm safe. But then, even then, I had 2 assassin daggers and the Medusa arrows going, and I couldn't get any insta-deaths or proc. Just too high level, I guess, there.
Yeah, it was, we were commenting on that Dark Imp, how, earlier this year, that would have been just such a freebie and how you really have to approach it differently. But just discussing the relative hit rates of different status effect spells, that decision there to throw a size on them was pretty inspired. So great job handling that.
Yeah, well, I figured I didn't have any way to really boost the black magic stat of Fu. So he had that lunar staff. I'm like, well, size I think is going to be my best choice here. So.
You might have got away with that Lillifrod that was in there, and if you had put Fu in the middle, but that would have probably been the only changes that could have made.
Yeah, I mean, Fu would have had a better hit percent there, but then my agility would be off, since I was using Rydia with a curse string in the middle, so that those imps don't punch quite as often. So, and
Well-
because each one of those punches kind of killed me. So.
There's I'd actually like to sort of disagree with you on that because they're because there's 3 of them and 5 of you, it might have actually sped them up a little bit.
That may be.
Because their punches would have they would have one punch straight after the other, and that would have got rid of 3 of them, 3 of your characters for the most part, and then you had nothing left. It could have been in one of your main people, that was casting that spell. So
well, that's. But there wasn't really 3 of them because I did have a coffin that I threw right at the beginning and cut them down to 2 pretty much immediately because the first thing that I did was cash in that coffin. But you still might be right.
Yeah, relative 1 agility is good in a lot of cases for berserkers. For casters, it's a lot more difficult to say that it is the correct way to do it.
Yeah, especially when I'm using ones with long charge times like Size, like Stone, like Fatal. They're all...
Yeah, but you got through it in the end. It gave you your Darkness Crystal. You got through the seed. That's all that really matters. So GG, Ian, well played for your 5th place finish today.
Thank you, and thanks for putting on the show tonight.
And back to our other racers here, we've got Kind of Nerdy Housewife is on the cusp here, just trying to eke out a little bit more experience for her team here in the Lunar Core. We're heading into the Zeromus fight. And meanwhile, Dr. Cossack is just a single Dark Imp fight away from getting the Darkness Crystal for himself and getting good to go. But like we were mentioning earlier, this fight is no pushover.
Yeah, and just as Size was coming up to be used by Fu there, the Dark Imps punched it down. I believe he's also going with the relative 1 and strats with Rosa having that cursed ring. If that's the case, he would need to put Fu on the top, as the top character, to make him be the first character to go.
Yeah, taking advantage of the way the game handles different party slots and their priority as far as, who gets to go when and things like that nature could definitely help out, especially in a fight like this that is so close and just need a few more clock ticks to get those particular spells out. Really, knowledge of how the ATB system works can really work in your favor in situations like this.
Yeah, and it is one of the most difficult things to learn, because agility in this game is very fickle. Just when you think you've sussed it out, something pops up to throw the entire equation into the gutter, such as, there's 5 characters and 6 enemies. Let us change the calculation completely.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance to the way this game utilizes agility, implements the ATB system. It was the first Final Fantasy to have a system like this, so of course there's a lot of wrinkles to it, and understanding how those wrinkles work and in what way can really, separate you from the pack in situations where it comes down to the wire like this.
Now, the other thing that he might want to consider is actually putting Fu and Rosa in the back row. Size missed in that case, and I think it's because of Rosa's lack of willpower. Doesn't have any stats increasing in that, but there goes Stone.
The Hail Mary Stone! Who needs strategy when you've got luck?
There's Fu being in the center, even with a cursed ring thing. That accuracy boost from being in that center proved the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. What I was about to suggest is, since he's in the Fae March and has easy to damage tiles, I might have even recommended just walking back out into the Fae March proper, getting everybody down to 1 hit point, and then just healing Cecil up to full HP. keep Cecil in the back row then, and he can just cover everybody. Cecil wasn't getting hit too hard. He can just use every one of his turns to heal himself with potions and whatnot. And then that is just going to give, since the only thing the Dark Imps are going to do is physical attack, it gives the rest of your casters free reign to do whatever you want, take as many shots as you want with status magic. But Dr. Cossack clutching it out with the stone, and he is going to head to the moon.
Yeah, very well done there. And that strategy is something I've done myself quite a bit against some physical attackers, so definitely does work. Kind of Nerdy Housewife, on the other hand, has said, I'm ready, let's face Credimus. And there's the first big bang, I believe. So Kane, unfortunately, hadn't been healed up after the initial counter nuke, so small issue, but Cecil has an Excalibur. I don't think she's going to have a problem.
Yeah, Cecil is really the all you need here. As long as you get that Berserk out on Cecil with that Excalibur, he is going to go absolutely crazy with it. Everything else is just going to be incidental to keeping that Paladin alive, keeping that holy damage coming, and Zeromus will not be long for this world. Yeah, already hitting for 3.5 to 4k a pop. This is not going to be a terribly tricky fight.
No, a little bit low on Rosa for the hit points. Could fall to a big bang that's high rolled, but I believe if her Rosa is fully outfitted with mage gear, so shouldn't actually be hit too hard.
Yeah, Fusoya and Rosa both getting to benefit from their high wills means they're going to have better magic defense than most other characters, so they're the least likely to get sniped by a rogue Big Bang. The threat is always there, which is what makes Zeromus such an interesting final boss for a randomizer like this. But yeah, he kind of Nerdy Housewife definitely.
Yeah. You were speaking about them Soma drops earlier in a shop. Fu has 220 MP on kind of Nerdy Housewife's side. I think she's made use of them.
I wouldn't surprise me. We'll definitely have to ask her. But yeah, getting just a little bit of extra MP on Fu can be so nice. I believe just one Soma drop gets an extra nuke, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct, yeah. From 190 to 200, and nuke costs 50.
Yeah, always, whenever you find a Soma drop, there's always that temptation to sell it, especially early on in a seed, since they can generate so much cash for you. But yeah, if you hold on and get a situation like that where you got a Fusoya or you got a Tella that you want to be able to actually cast Meteor once for you, that Soma drop can really change things.
Yeah, and that elixir that everyone seems to have picked up is going into use on that Fu every single time here. Rosa shrugs off that nuke to the face, so yeah, definitely kitted out with mage gear there. Only taking 1,100 damage. You like to see that amount.
Oh, definitely. And gets the Berserk back up on Cecil, so the Pain Train is back in operation. And there's the Cure 4 to get things stabilized.
Yeah. Reapplying the Star Veil on Fu, and we'll start back on the nukes, but really, I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, and really decision here to just cut your losses on that Kane and leave him dead. A big trap that even I will still fall into is trying to get all my characters back up and contributing. Kind of Nerdy Housewife very wisely realizing that she does not need Kane to succeed here, leaves him dead, focuses on what's going to work, makes it a very, very quick fight, and with that, Kind of Nerdy Housewife has finished in 7th place with a final time of 1 hour, 55 minutes, 58 seconds. GG, and I believe we are joined by Hey. Congratulations on your finish.
Thank you so much.
You sound a little bit desperate. Did you feel a bit constrained in that?
I'm sorry, what was that?
You sound a little bit relieved and desperate at the end of that. Did it feel tough going through that?
The end wasn't. I had a lot of trouble in the beginning of the seed, but the end I was just trying to go fast, so I played a little riskier than I normally would.
That's fair enough. Probably wanted to just get through the seed, get into the bottles for the new year, and have your fun times.
So one of the decisions you made earlier that kind of set you apart from the other racers we saw here was you went and checked that package, and when you saw Cecil, still Dark Knight, still Mount Ordeals hadn't been done yet, you went ahead and took him. So what was the reasoning there? Was it just sort of to give you a more incentive to do Mount Ordeals, or sort of what was the what were your thought process going into the picking him up?
The big thing is with this particular flag set, you're very likely to run into an Excalibur at some point, whether it's just picking it up from a treasure chest or one of the non-key item spots, or just squishing together a legend sword and an adamant. And I'm like, I'm just gonna go ahead and pick him up now, and there's a high probability I'll get an Excalibur later, and I did, so it worked out.
Yeah, it definitely did. Of all the people, you definitely had the, so that worked out very, very nicely. It was a very quick fight with that kind of damage he was putting out.
I was embarrassed how long it took me to get those Dark Imps. It took me like 3 or 4 times.
I'll tell you right now, not to be. That has been stumbling blocks for every single person on stream.
Eventually, Food just got it done with the triple stone kill there.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and we've commented on that. The Dark Imps is sort of a fight that has long been considered sort of free by the community beforehand, just with the easy access to status items. What are sort of your thought process going into these fights where you don't have these reliable access? How does that sort of change your approach to those fights?
Well, there's so many tools in your toolkit, like Stone was a good one. I had those assassin daggers. I was trying to proc that. It didn't work out too well for me. But coffins are hard to find in hourglasses, but there's still so many instant kills for bosses that don't have the boss bit. You just kind of got to think around it.
Yeah. The reason why the assassin daggers didn't proc is mostly because way statuses work in Final Fantasy IV, is that their chance to proc is actually based on where the enemy's ATB gauge is. If it's empty, it's a fairly decent chance that it's going to hit. But because that spot is so fast, it's almost always going to be full, which gives them sort of an innate protection against status effects. So it is very rare that it's actually going to proc and inflict that status.
I didn't actually know that. It's funny, I've been playing this for over a year now, and I'm still learning things like that.
Yeah, that one is something.
That's pretty crazy.
That is something that's been tested a little bit. I'm not entirely certain if I've got it completely correct, but that's my gathering of the way at least it's getting it to affect from weapons. And it happens. There's a lot of basis off of where the ATB gauge is on the enemies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I gotta get going, but thanks for restreaming me, and thanks for commentating and tracking and doing all the hard work, and I'll see you later.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for being rebroadcast Kinda Nerdy Housewife, and have yourself.
So GG to Kinda Nerdy Housewife, who finished in 7th. We did have a 6th place finisher before her, and that was Era, who completed in a time of 1 hour 50 minutes and 42. And we've got an 8th and 9th place finisher, Slippery in 8th in 1 hour 57 minutes and 15 seconds, and Michael Lofos in 9th in 1 hour 58 minutes and 53 seconds. So GG to them, who have all finished in under 2 hours.
Yeah, definitely. Huge GGs to all of our runners finishing and otherwise. Not a terribly easy seed here tonight. There have been a lot of really real places here where you can get stumbled up, you can get tripped up, you can really tested the runners. So big shout out to everybody running this race tonight and that has completed it and is going to be completing it. really putting on a big show here tonight. And speaking of shows, Dr. Cossack is moving on to the big stage here and is going to be taking on Zeromus.
Yeah, this, as you said, this seed hasn't been an easy one. The early game characters choices weren't great. It took a lot of work just to break through that, either it being the treasury in the town of Troya or the castle of Troya, or finding that Cecil to really break it out. But once people hit their stride, you could see that their confidence grew as the seed went along. Even in the Dark Imps, big stumbling block, but everyone has managed to get through it. So it's thanks to that confidence in their team, in their setup, that they've got through that. Dr. Cossack now coming up against his Zeromus fight. Did a slightly different way of grinding. He actually turned on encounters and did a hero walk. Took encounters all along the way to Zeromus. So very nice way of showing that is an option as well.
Yeah, it's definitely not the preferred method of doing your grind at all. Afford it. There's some really good experience to be had in random encounters or subterranean, but there are some very nasty encounters that you can run into, some really painful ones that you want to try to avoid. So big props to Dr. Cossack for taking that option, for powering through it and getting his team up to a level he feels comfortable doing it. Looking at HP values, it looks like a slightly lower level party than some of our other runners, but still considering the comp, it looks like he's probably going to be running Tri-Zerker here. Shouldn't be too difficult to fight for him.
No, getting those berserks up. There's a silk web just to make that run, make the fight a little bit more simple for it. Cecil looks like he's above the agility of 28, so that silk web is going to slow down Zeromus even further, and well, then it's just punch and slash your way to victory here.
Yeah, and this is one of those situations where you can actually get a lot of good. Once you're able to get a ton of levels behind him, get that unarmed damage up to a point where it can be decently respectable. And the fact that he has enough HP to be able to, he's one of the few characters that can take a counter nuke to the face and still have enough HP to eat a big bang. So he can be very, very useful in the Zeromus fight for that reason. A lot of times I'll just leave him unberserked, even if just to use him as an item thrower, just because I know that he's the least likely to end up eating space dust.
Yeah. But you shouldn't really underestimate the amount of power he's got. I've had Young's, although this one isn't exactly over leveled to say per se. He can hit in the 3,000 to 4,000 marks very easily with a couple of his decent claws and just a couple of extra levels.
Oh, absolutely. I think we see a defender sword, and Young is not far behind Kane as far as damage output. So yeah, kind of showing that Young really can stand up there. Now, of course, Cecil putting them all to shame with that Excalibur, but I mean, it's Cecil with Excalibur. What are you going to do?
And Zeromus sort of has an inherent weakness to Night Swords, I do believe. So yeah, Cecil has all the options for him.
It's like he's a protagonist or something.
No, that can't be it.
We do have a 10th place finisher here tonight. Maryland finishing with a time of 2 hours, 3 minutes, 58 seconds. So GG Maryland.
Kane has taken a dive, but between Cecil and Kane, and this shouldn't be a problem, and Rosa's just taking a little bit of extra time just to bring Kane back to his feet. Life 2 is a very good way of doing that if you've got that option, and especially on Rosa, who has an amount of hit points, amount of MP that can facilitate it without being too much of an issue.
Yeah, got to admire that. I'm often way too frightened to throw out a life 2, since it does have a significant charge time to cast it and costs a ton of MP. No fear in Dr. Cossack, though, taking that charge time to get Kane back up on his feet and get the status quo put back in here so we can zerk this Zeromus down.
Yeah. If he didn't have two sources of being able to cure in both Fu and Rosa, that might have been a bit of a riskier play, but because Fu and Rosa were there, it's not so much.
Yeah, and especially Rosa 2-on. Fu's MP pool is far too low to really want to be throwing out too many life 2s with him.
Yeah. I think Life 2 has 64 MP cost, and that's more than 25% of Fu's his MP total. So yeah, you'd rather do it on Rosa, who has something like 350 MP points at this stage.
Yeah, Rosa, one of those casters where their MP pool eventually gets to the point where it might as be infinite.
Yeah. Although I think I might be wrong. It might have been something different, but I thought I only saw 157 there. I might be just seeing things there. It might have been in Cecil I was seeing or something like that.
I'll keep an eye open next time opens Rosa's menu, but you might be right. Rosa is definitely a low seen from some of the other runners, so that Life 2 might have put a significant dent in her MP pool. Yeah, as we can see right now, Fu getting to the point where his spell access is very limited, down to only 30 MP. I don't know whether Dr. Cossack has... Oh, no, there's the elixirs. Now that answers that question.
Oh, sorry, 357 in total. So,
Okay.
yeah, way more than necessary. There's the Meteo. Cecil is down, but he still has Yang and Kane to finish this fight up.
Yeah, still, plenty of characters up. Shouldn't have too much trouble putting this one away. Once that Meteo gets out, you're down to your left 10,000, roughly 10,000 HP left on Zeromus. There's the yellow flash, and just like that, Dr. Cossack is finished in 11th place with a final time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, 7 seconds. GG's to Dr. Cossack.
Yeah, very well done to all our runners today. We'd like to call it a throwback, but these flags were picked specifically for the AGDQ last year, who had some of our very top runners, and we wanted to challenge them. So these flags are not easy, and our runners today have blown it out of the park with their abilities, and congratulations to everyone.
And Dr. Cossack going to forgo an interview. Totally understand it is getting late, but I think that is going to do it for us here tonight. So
yeah. You asked the question earlier to a couple of our runners of their resolutions. What's yours?
Mine is get to dig into some of the finer details of this game. Sort of learn the more difficult strategies. Start to really get a better feel for how things like agility, manipulation, and things work, and sort of learn those strategies that can kind of take my game up another step, I think is what I want to focus on this year. How about you, Poitrak?
My one particularly is to actually continue on my recent upward sort of scale of this. I've always been there or thereabouts in the terms of how good I am with it. I've got the knowledge. I've just never been able to put it into the practice as much as I would like. I would like to actually put that knowledge into practice and improve myself that way. So that is my resolution, to improve myself and hopefully break that sort of glass ceiling that I have above me at the moment. Just push it to that next level.
Yeah, totally understand.
So yeah, that is all for today. We've had a very nice race. We've had a lot of strategies shown. We've had, and it's been a very nice thing to end the year out on. So I will leave it to you to close it out for us.
Sure. I want to do a huge thank you to Dathis doing the tracking here tonight. Good old and venerable doing the restream. Without them, we could not have a broadcast to present to you. So, for my co-caster Poitrak, I'm Smapty, wishing you a wonderful 2020. As we start it, we'll be back Friday with the Friday Night Community Race. And in the meantime, we are going to be raiding Count Zero. So show them some love here for the rest of the evening. Hope you have a wonderful week, everybody.